Yeah.
Welcome back to the Gridiron Expert. Arizona finally fired Kevin Sumlin, who ended his tenure in Tucson on a 12-game losing streak where his Wildcats were outscored 481 to 224. Arizona now brings in Jedd Fisch as their fifth head coach in the last 20 years, and he has his work cut out for him. So again, guys, welcome back to the Gridiron Expert, here to analyze and predict Arizona's schedule and record for this 2021 college football season. As always, make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and also make sure to check out everything down in that description below, including our expert picks over on our website, thegridironexpert.com. Some of the best college football and NFL spread picks in the country. Make sure to sign up for those today before the season starts. So guys, Jedd Fisch now comes in. Arizona hired him away from the New England Patriots, where he was the quarterback's coach there, serving under Bill Belichick and working with Cam Newton. Now hires him to become the fifth head coach in the last 20 years down in Tucson. And like we mentioned, he has his work cut out for him. He did not inherit a good team and a good situation from Kevin Sumlin. And just look at the roster. On offense, the Wildcats returned just 5 starters. An offense that averaged just 17.4 points per game. Sumlin was supposed to come in, revolutionize this offense, do great things as a brilliant offensive mind, and he didn't. He failed miserably. And when you look at Arizona and what they have major quarterback questions. More than likely, Gunnar Cruz is going to be the quarterback this year, the transfer from Washington State. But do not rule out Will Plummer, who threw 80 passes last year, and did not rule out Jordan McLeod, the transfer quarterback from South Florida. Everybody's in the mix there, although we're going to give the edge to Gunnar Cruz, a freshman, we should add. The running game is really going to be the key for Arizona. That's what Jedd Fisch wants to do. He wants to run the football, and that's going to be the key for them offensively. Michael Wiley is back at running back after averaging 7.2 yards per carry last year, and Arizona did add Drake Anderson, the transfer running back from Northwestern, to give them some depth and just some extra talent in the backfield there. Defensively, they returned 7 starters, and you can talk about the talent, which we will, but the biggest storyline on defense is that Jedd Fisch hired Don Brown as defensive coordinator. That name sounds familiar. It's because Don Brown was the former defensive coordinator at Michigan under Jim Harbaugh. This is a huge, huge hire, and in time, I think it can truly pan out for the Wildcats. But don't expect a major defensive transformation in year one. Arizona's defense was historically bad in 2020. They allowed 39.8 points per game. They allowed 270.6 rushing yards per game. Secondary wasn't too bad. Allowed just they were ranked 28th in the nation, allowing just 202.4 passing yards per game. The majority of that secondary is back. The majority of that secondary should once again be solid. But we all know that the leader of this team is going to be in the linebacking core with Anthony Pandy, who led the team in tackles and interceptions last year. Arizona has to improve in stopping the run if they want to have any chance of being competitive in the Pac-12 this year. A lot of these teams they're going to face have very run-centric teams. Actually, as a matter of fact, their season opener against BYU, they're a run-centric team. You look at the Cougars, guys. We're going to go ahead and just dive right into Arizona's schedule and start predicting. The Cougars are a team that went 11-1 last year. Yes, we know they lost a lot. They lose Zach Wilson, they lose Dax Milne, they lose 3 offensive line starters, they lose tons on defense. Don't expect BYU to have a double-digit win season this year. Don't expect them to put up the same numbers they did last year. But still expect Kalani Sitake's Cougars squad to be solid. And we're expecting them to be solid on the ground, especially now they have Tyler Algiero returning after rushing for over 1,100 yards in 2020. I strictly believe that Tyler Algiero is going to torch this Arizona team. That's no disrespect to the Wildcats. No disrespect to them at all. But after allowing 270.6 rushing yards per game, don't expect that number to drastically change in the matter of a few weeks. Don't expect the rushing defense to drastically change in the matter of a few weeks, in the matter of a few months under Don Brown. It's going to take some time. Algiero has a big day for BYU in Las Vegas, we should add. Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas. What a way to open up. What a way to begin the Jedd Fisch tenure. Great location. Not a great game. Arizona drops to 0-1. We do believe the Cougars win this game. They then play San Diego State in week 2. You cannot afford to overlook this game, guys. If you're Arizona, this is a game you very well could lose. Because if they don't have much of an identity on offense, and their offense is struggling early on, San Diego State and the Aztecs are going to take advantage of that. Because the Aztecs always have a solid defense, and this year is going to be no exception. So they cannot afford to overlook this game. But I do believe that Jedd Fisch comes up with just enough offensively. He's an offensive mind. He's bounced around both in the college ranks and the NFL ranks, never as a head coach except for a brief stint as interim at UCLA. But he's an offensive mind that's traveled, very well traveled, and I think he comes up with just enough to beat the Aztecs out of the Mountain West. Gets his first win as head coach down in Tucson, and they do defeat Northern Arizona in week 3. A Northern Arizona team that is no slouch out of the FCS. Definitely deserve a lot of credit for the job they're doing there, but a team that I believe the Wildcats will defeat. Maybe a little bit closer than some expect, though. So they're 2-1. Jedd Fisch, 2-1 in his first year in Tucson. Things are looking good. 2 wins aren't against anybody special. It's now a matter of can he rack up a few conference wins. Again, no one's expecting a division crown. No one's really expecting a bowl game for the Wildcats. What Arizona faithful want is they want to see competitiveness. They want to see a few extra wins up there. The question is, can Fisch deliver in his first year? Well, unfortunately, his first conference game as head coach in Tucson is a road game at Oregon, the Pac-12 favorite, the reigning Pac-12 champion, 2-time Pac-12 champion, we should add. They've won back-to-back. Favorite in the North, the favorite in the conference overall, and an Oregon team that is, as we've said time and time again, I feel in a league of their own. Joe Moorhead calling the shots on offense with that RPO style that he's implementing, a dual-threat quarterback in Anthony Brown who returns his top 2 receivers, he has his top 2 rushers, and a defense, as we mentioned, that is stacked from top to bottom. When you look at Oregon, guys, this matchup to me is a matchup between the best team in the Pac-12 in Oregon and the worst team in the Pac-12 in Arizona. And again, we're not dogging on the Wildcats, we're just stating the facts. In Eugene, I don't believe the Wildcats are going to put up much of a fight in this one. Oregon should literally run away with this game, and Arizona drops to 0-1 in conference play. And they're 2-2 going into their bye week on October 2nd. So they have now played 4 games. They've played 4 games. They've got 8 left. All of them Pac-12 conference games. You look at UCLA on October 9th. Arizona fell to the Bruins 27-10 last year. And now UCLA returns 19 starters. It's going to be a loss for Arizona. Yes, the game is in Tucson. It's the one thing they have going for them. And the one thing that could keep Arizona in this game is the fact that UCLA's secondary is very concerning. They had one of the worst passing defenses in the nation last year. But does Arizona really have a quarterback? Does Gunnar Cruz or Will Plummer or even Jordan McLeod, more than likely Gunnar Cruz though, is he going to be in a position where he can exploit this UCLA secondary? Is he going to have the wide receivers? We know Arizona returns the majority of their top pass catchers from last year, but are they going to have enough chemistry built to exploit this UCLA secondary? We don't think they will. Despite coming off a week of rest, I don't believe they're able to exploit that. And quite frankly, I don't know if Arizona's defense is going to have enough to stop this UCLA offense that returns 9 starters and has a dual-threat quarterback in Dorian Thompson-Robinson. And Britton Brown at running back, we should add, that could exploit this defense that, again, allowed over 270 rushing yards per game. UCLA won by 17 last year. Expect a similar result this year. Arizona then travels to Colorado. Last year, they fell to the Buffaloes 24-13 and gave up 301 rushing yards to Jarek Broussard. One player, they allowed 301 rushing yards. They allowed 407 total rushing yards on the day. Probably a major reason those rushing stats were pretty bad for Arizona in 2020. We'll expect the Buffaloes to put up ridiculous rushing numbers again. They now have a dual-threat quarterback in Brendan Lewis. Jarek Broussard is back. Alex Fontenot is back, returning from an injury. Some of their top wide receivers are back. Colorado, to me, the offense is looking very solid, and they have one of the best linebacking duos in the nation in Nate Landman and Carson Wells. The game is in Boulder. Colorado won by 11 last year. The reason they won was Jarek Broussard. He's back. Chalk it up as a victory for the Buffaloes, and yet another loss for Arizona. They've now dropped 3 straight. They then play Washington at home on a Friday night. So a short week. They play a Huskies team they lost to 44-27 last year. And you look at the Huskies, guys. They are a Pac-12 title favorite for many, too. They are Oregon's probably toughest test in the Pac-12 North, and the Huskies host Oregon, we should add. Jimmy Lake enters year 2 with one of the best defenses in the Pac-12. The Huskies actually ranked first in the conference in stopping the pass. They ranked first in the conference in total defense, and I would expect those numbers and rankings to be about the same in 2021. That's how good this defense is for Washington, and their offense is prepared to take a major step forward once they finally settle and develop a solid quarterback, whether that's in Dylan Morris or in Sam Heward. But at the end of the day, while the quarterback questions will be solved, I believe, by October 22nd, we know one thing's for sure, and that's Washington wants to run the football. And I feel bad for Arizona because you look at it, Oregon, Colorado, Washington, Arizona State, could even make the case for UCLA. All of those teams want to run the ball, and that is the bad area for Arizona's defense. That's the weakness of this Arizona team. And until they can figure that out, unless Don Brown can work an absolute miracle, it's going to be tough in these games for the Wildcats. It's going to be tough for them to keep up and win these games. Washington's no exception. The Huskies do come on the road and defeat the Wildcats on a Friday night. Arizona then travels to USC. Now's a team that they're not going to want to run the ball. USC wants to air it out. Graham Harrell's got that air raid offense going with Keaton Slovis and an unbelievable wide receiver core. He has so much talent on this team, especially on the offensive side of the ball. Now, last year we know Arizona hung with the Trojans, only fell 34-30 in Tucson. I'm here to tell you there's no way the game's that close now in 2021. It's in the Coliseum. While the secondary was one of the best in the nation last year, again ranking 28th, I believe this USC team is a lot better than they were last year. Yes, I know they went 5-0. Yes, I know their only loss was to Oregon in the Pac-12 championship. But from a talent standpoint, from another year under their belt, from obviously this being a normal year for everybody, I believe this USC team can maybe surprise a few people. Not saying make the playoff, not even saying win the Pac-12, but their offense and passing attack is still going to be so good that even though Arizona's secondary is solid, they're going to get worn down if their offense can't generate anything, and I don't think they will. Games at the Coliseum, USC wins comfortably, not by 4. So at this point, guys, Arizona is still winless in conference play. They have 4 games left. They've got to win out if they want to go bowling, and again, that's not their expectation. The expectation is to really be competitive and to show some sort of life, maybe some sort of promise so the team can have optimism going into 2022. Again, it usually takes coaches, new coaches, 3 or 4 years to hit their stride. Give Jed Fish some time. They drop the game to USC. They return home to take on California. Now, you look at California, this is a team that's going to have their best offense yet under Justin Wilcox. The defense is always a strength, so good luck to Arizona in that sense, trying to find any success offensively against this very solid California defense. Well, now California finally has a balanced offensive attack to go with that potent defense, as Chase Garbers is back as the most experienced quarterback in the conference, 23 starts to his name. If he can stay healthy, he and Christopher Brown Jr. can have a field day against Arizona. Yes, we know the game is in Tucson, but this might be California's best team yet since Justin Wilcox arrived out in Berkeley. The Golden Bears get a win. Arizona then stays home, and plays Utah. We have praised Utah ever since we started breaking down the Pac-12. How good this team is, how underrated this team is in the South. Everybody wants to talk about USC and Arizona State. What about the Ute? 18 starters back, Charlie Brewer in at quarterback, the 11th ranked rushing defense in the country last year. We know Arizona wants to run the football. They're not going to have success against this Utah front, which means that Gunnar Cruz is going to have to win the game through the air. I'm not sure as a freshman quarterback, a freshman transfer quarterback, we should add, if he has the talent, the experience, the confidence to do that against Utah secondary that's still very underrated as well. Utah comes on the road, gets this win. In Arizona, you begin to wonder, too, at this point, knowing they can't go bowling, knowing they're getting beat probably relatively handily week in and week out, where's their confidence? Where's their, effort, motivation in some of these final weeks of the year? Are they just trying to limp to the finish line, or are they going to keep playing strong? If I'm Jed Fish, I'm recognizing this is a building year, and he's trying to see what the talent that he has, trying to see what the most he can get out of his guys, even though there's really nothing left to play for. They close out the year with their back-to-back road games at Washington State, at Arizona State. The game against Washington State on the road is winnable. I will say that. It's winnable because by this point, I think Gunnar Cruz, maybe, even though he's not going to be winning games, is going to continue to get confidence and gain confidence week in and week out. While Washington State had one of the worst secondaries in the nation last year, allowing 307 passing yards per game. But when I look at Washington State, they're in year 2 under Nick Rolovich. So they've already got that coaching edge right now. They got their system in place right now. The run and shoot offense led by Jaden DeLora. This is a young Washington State team, but a team that's going to flirt with bowl eligibility this year. The game's also in Pullman. Home field advantage going to play a crucial role in college football this season. Arizona falls to the Cougars, and they absolutely fall to their rival at Arizona State. Last year, they fell to the Sun Devils 70-7. 70-7 last year against the Sun Devils. The Wildcats committed 7 turnovers and allowed 259 rushing yards. Rashad White is back at running back for Arizona State. Jaden Daniels is back at quarterback for Arizona State. And the Sun Devils return 8 starters on defense, a defense that many think could be one of the best in decades for the Sun Devils. It's on the road, senior night, rivalry game. I know everybody plays different against your rival, but there's not going to be a 63-point swing here. Even if Arizona State gets hit hard with these recruiting violations, we're not going to change our pick. We might change our pick for some. We're not changing our pick here. Arizona State will once again, I believe, demolish their rival in Arizona. And that means year 1 under Jed Fish, the Arizona Wildcats go 2-10 winless in conference play. And I know it's going to be disappointing for many, unbelievable for many maybe, but this is still a very young team, and you can't expect this team to drastically turn around after putting up historically bad numbers, both offensively and defensively in 2020. We said Jed Fish has his work cut out for him. That might even be an understatement. The major rebuilding process going on in Tucson. This is an opportunity to see what he has, take it, build on it, and look to improve drastically in 2022. But 2021, it's just going to be an opportunity to get his foot in the door, lay a foundation. Next year is when the rebuild truly begins at Arizona. So guys, as always, thank you so much for watching us here at the Gridiron Expert on YouTube. Make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos. Also, make sure to check out everything down in that description below, and that includes those expert picks on our website, thegridironexpert.com. Sign up for those today before the season begins. I promise you won't regret it. You're definitely going to want to do it, so make sure to go give it a look. And once again, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.